It is very good for me to be here with you. And I'm joined by Lady and other members of my entourage. We're here with you in this celebration of your 40th anniversary. Since we in Jamaica are still celebrating our nation's golden jubilee, it is easy for me to be infused with your own celebratory spirit, because you're celebrating 50 years of independence for the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and 50 years of independence for Jamaica, in addition to 40 years of service of the Grand Concourse Seventh-day Adventist Church. So it's a grand celebration of 50, 50, 40, 140 years combined of service and of celebration. I want to thank you very much, Pastor Hay, for your kind invitation and the wonderful hospitality which you and your efficient team have showered on Lady and me since our arrival. Pastor Hay and I are from the same parish in Portland, in Jamaica. I know these sisters are well. We've attended summer camp over the years as youngsters and also at Andrews University. And I also knew when he pastored in the Central Jamaica Conference, he and his wife Nita. And over the years, we've had a very, very great respect for him and the quality and caliber of his ministry, his godly service, wherever he goes. And I just want to affirm that and let you know how much we respect him. I also would like to express thanks to the members of my family and friends in New York, in New Jersey, and Maryland for the constant support and companionship offered to us every time we visit with the United States of America. We appreciate your being there for us. I couldn't help reflecting on the timing of this occasion. It comes not in the midst of, as it could have, but a few weeks after Superstorm Sandy. Enough distance to make this event still possible, but not too distant for its memory, impact, and lessons to be lost on us. This great city of New York, among the most famous and powerful of cities in the world, was not invulnerable to the ravages of nature, the catastrophic forces outside human control. The two-day closure of the iconic New York Stock Exchange became a symbol of the shattering effect of Hurricane Sandy, the effect that it had on millions of New Yorkers and other Americans. After all, the New York Stock Exchange had only been closed once before, in the year 1888. You know that 1888 is also significant for us as Adventists. Let me say how deeply shocked and saddened I was by the tragedy and destruction wrought by Sandy, particularly in the tri-state area. It is clear that this church family would either have experienced loss directly, or you are assisting families and individuals who are trying to put their lives back together after Sandy's aftermath. This terrible act of nature overturned the plans of mighty men and women, even affecting the destiny of many in the most powerful country on planet Earth. Sandy stormed into our consciousness with the reality of our ultimate frailty, reminding us of our vulnerability, reminding us of the temporal nature of the things we have come to value most in our materialistic society. Over 2,000 years ago, our master put it well: a man's life does not consist of the abundance of things which he possesses. This, we can add, can be washed away, literally or otherwise, so quickly, so easily. The Grand Concourse Church community still has its work cut out for it after 40 years of celebration and of service. It is incumbent on this congregation, this community of faith, to continue to encourage people not to trust in uncertain riches or to spend themselves on things that cannot last, but to build relationships with God and our fellow human beings. Amen. Relationships are what it is all about. Indeed, our Master summarized our obligations in two great commandments: love to God and love to our fellow men. Yeah. Unfortunately, many have come to repose value only in things which they can quantify. Yet study after study has shown that relationship is what matters most. One of the longest running psychological studies of all times, the Harvard Men Study, has followed college men from the 1930s to the present day. The psychologist who directed that study for the last 40 years, George Vaillant, said in the Atlantic Monthly article in 2009 that there had been 70 years of evidence that our relationships with other people matter, and matter more than anything else in the world. Wow. Noted happiness researchers, psychologists Ed Dana and Robert Biswas-Dana, reviewed a massive amount of cross-cultural literature on happiness over the decades. In their book Happiness, they concluded that, like food and air, we seem to need social relationships to thrive. And in the landmark book entitled Loneliness, the University of Chicago psychologist John Cacioppo shows from over 30 years of research that lack of strong social connections is just as deadly as certain diseases. It has been demonstrated, for example, that lack of social contact can add 30 points to an adult's blood pressure reading. Yes. Another study has shown that people who received emotional support during the first 6 months after a heart attack were 3 times more likely to survive. Yes. I make these references to emphasize the point that relationships matter greatly. You know, one of the characteristics of Jamaicans is our strong bonds to family and country. This is still evident in the diaspora. Yet we must work to strengthen relationships, including within the family, at a time when we risk being more linked with other forms of information and communications technology than we are linked with each other. How healthy can it be when people in the same household communicate more frequently through texting than through direct face-to-face interaction? Social media is rapidly becoming anything but social, as friendships are measured by the quantity of likes or tweets on a page, rather than the quality of a relationship forged through shared experiences and common principles. As we celebrate the Golden Jubilee of Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, there is necessarily a reflection on our shared experiences and the principles which have guided our journey. It is essential that we evaluate the journey thus far to better plan for the next 50 years. This is as true for our nations as it is true for the Grand Concourse Church community. I want to bring you into a healthy and robust conversation that is raging in Jamaica about what we have really achieved over 50 years of independence. What are the fruits of the Independence Project? How better off are we today? I am sure these questions also occupy you in the diaspora. You too are very concerned about Jamaica and our deep economic and social challenges. You heard our Masters of Ceremonies speaking to that earlier. You have physically left home, but your heart has never migrated. So I know you care and you feel deeply for Jamaica. And that is why I want to engage you in that reflection tonight about our 50 years of independence. Let us all be frank. None of us is totally satisfied with our progress as a nation over these 50 years. It is not unpatriotic to say so. It is simply being honest and not engaging in self-delusion. But neither is it true that we have achieved nothing. There are measurable ways in which Jamaica has made progress over its 50 years of independence. And I'll share a few with you. Our life expectancy of nearly 73 years today is at developed country status. In the immediate post-independence period, our life expectancy was 55 years. So we have added almost 20 years since our independence.
That's right.
That is a noteworthy achievement.
That's right.
In some countries, life expectancy has actually been reduced over the last half century. Our infant mortality rate today stands at 40.3 per 1,000 births, coming from as high as 51 per 1,000 births in the early 1960s. We have also made notable successes in the critical area of population growth, where birth rate reduced from 30% to 17.4% in the last 50 years. Communicable diseases, which were common in Jamaica in the immediate post-independence period, have been successfully eliminated. Jamaica now has 100% immunization coverage for tuberculosis and 92% coverage for polio, diphtheria, whooping cough, and tetanus. Our poverty rate between 1989 and 2010 has declined from 30.5% of the population to 17.4%. This is an extraordinary. In education, we have also experienced some notable achievements, though we still have serious challenges. But we can be proud of the fact that gross enrollment at the pre-primary level is at 99%, 99.6% at the primary level, and 97% at the secondary level. The number of students at the secondary level has moved from 2,000 in 1962 to 41,653 in 2000. There were fewer than 1,000 university students at independence in 1962. Today, there are almost 70,000 university students. And our basic literacy rate has climbed from 47% in 1975 to 87.7% in 2011. We still grapple with an underperforming, highly indebted economy, an overburdened social sector, and a challenging crime problem. But we are a resilient and a resourceful people. We have worked together successfully to tackle other seemingly impenetrable problems in the past, and I have every confidence that we can summon that same will to tackle our present challenges. I remember when debates about our electoral system threatened to tear us apart as a society. The tensions were high. Many threw up their hands in despair, saying our political leaders did not have the capacity to put aside partisan concerns to work together to fashion an electoral system that was free and fair and free from fear. But they did it. Today, Jamaica has one of the most enviable electoral systems in the world. Wow. One that is seen as a model. Our political leaders came together and passed the Charter of Fundamental Rights. We established the Office of the Contractor General, which everyone agrees has had an important impact on how we do public business in Jamaica. Certainly, the campaign against corruption and for transparency is one that is shared by all sectors and classes. We have successfully tackled our challenges before, and we can do it again. I have said it frequently in Jamaica, and I say it here again. There is nothing wrong with Jamaica that cannot be fixed by what is right with Jamaica.
All right.
Right now, there is consensus between our two main political parties about the structural reforms necessary to put Jamaica's economy on a firm footing. The ideological battles of the past are indeed of the past. There is agreement on the broad framework of economic development. Our political leaders from both sides agree that there has to be tax reform, pension reform, public sector reform, and a sustainable debt management program. The country is far advanced in these areas. The Development Bank of Jamaica just recently approved financing of the creation of major information technology facilities expected to create approximately 4,000 jobs. There are other applications under consideration which could add up to 10,000 new jobs in this sector. This is a field in which young Jamaicans have already demonstrated great capacity for innovation. One example which I shall mention is the 2010 Microsoft Imagine Cup Award to a team of students from the Northern Caribbean University, the largest SDA university in this hemisphere, for their web-based resource tool called Zornis. The youth consultative conferences, which I convened in October and November, recognized this capacity and sought to emphasize the potential man-field for the employment of our youth and generation of significant revenues for our people. I launched the I Believe initiative in Jamaica because of my passionately held view that a positive, optimistic outlook is absolutely critical to personal and the national success. It was national hero of the right excellence, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who said, "If you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race for life." We Jamaicans cannot afford to be defeated, so we have to be eternal optimists.
Okay.
You, as our ambassadors, form a vital link in that chain of success. Your commitment to Jamaica, land we love, cannot be questioned. That commitment is measured more than by the fact that remittances, our largest source of foreign inflows, reached a record $2.08 billion. Your commitment is seen in how high you fly the flag of this country, how proudly you support brand Jamaica. But we must continue to believe in ourselves. I am bullish on this matter of the importance of positive belief and visualization. So I want to end with this story. A story which movingly illustrates the primacy of faith and positive affirmation. It is the story of a young Jamaican man who has become one of the, I believe, ambassadors. And we have many of our young people who are committed to being vehicles for positive change in our country by becoming, I believe, ambassadors. He was born in Hanover by the name Craig Dixon. This young man suffered some very serious privation. In grade 5, he could not read. His single mother moved the family from place to place, just ahead of eviction for non-payment of rent. At 14, his grandmother threw him out of her house. With no place to go, he sat and cried his heart out in a cow pasture. He then walked through to nearby villages, begging for shelter, till an old man himself, also poor, took pity on him. The next phase saw him eking out a miserable existence as a child on his own. For the first 3 months, he slept on a piece of sponge, which would get wet whenever it rained. And you know what happened. Yet he refused to be defined by his abject poverty. And he dared to dream of not only finishing high school, but also excelling at university. Daily he affirmed his right not just to exist, but to be all that he could be, inasmuch as he wasn't in the U.S. Army. But he dared to dream while he quenched the pangs of hunger with that vision of becoming somebody who would someday influence others to aim high and achieve their goals. He dared to dream while suffering, and also while stuffing his single pair of shoes with cardboard every morning to plug the holes in the soles of his shoes while he washed his one school uniform. He dared to dream even while he sold fruits on the streets or washed windscreens of cars to support himself. Finally, he graduated with honors from the University of the West Indies in 2010. Throughout his years as an undergraduate, he constantly reminded himself of the words of the British philosopher James Allen, and I quote, "He who cherishes a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in his heart, will one day realize it." End of quote. In 2010, he was among the 38 young leaders selected from 28 Commonwealth countries to the Commonwealth Youth Leadership Training Program held in Rwanda. To illustrate the great change generated by him by the visualization of the person he had determined to become, Craig Dixon changed his name to Julius Gunkel. Today, he's a transformational speaker who developed Dream Right, based on concepts which he started developing at the age of 12. His mantra, do not give up. Failure is not a stage. It's not a person. This is a message he constantly shares with his audiences. Julius Gunter is not the only, I believe, ambassador with incredible stories of determination to succeed against all odds. I thank God that the I Believe initiative is attracting young people who see the need to invest themselves in Jamaica, and many of them have similar stories. They are committed to seeing our country achieve the vision stated in our national pledge for Jamaica to increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. They firmly believe that together we can achieve the vision of 2030, a vision which sees Jamaica and its people as a place where individuals will choose to live, to raise families, and to do business. The opportunities for our growth as individuals and as a nation abound even in the midst of hardships. As Christians, we know our faith is strengthened through trials, which at times are very fiery. We know the rewards for those who remain true to the end. These are the same principles which we must apply in our daily lives. As children, we learned growing up in Jamaica that if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. But in this microwave generation, people are socialized into wanting everything at once. Perseverance and persistence are alien dogma to too many, so failure overwhelms rather than being the stepping stone. And it is seen as the back on which success must be. It is not seen as the back on which success must be hard. But we must use failure as stepping stone to success. Never give up. It's amazing what belief in our God-given potential can do. It is amazing what we can accomplish through Christ who gives us strength. Amen. So I say to you and to all of us, let us believe and let us spread a positive approach to life. Let us build relationships and strengthen each other. No matter our circumstances, no matter our challenges personally and as a people, we can overcome. Let us dare to dream. We can achieve those dreams. Thank you. God bless you. And every good wish as we begin and continue the next 50-50 forward. God bless you.